is Jessica Webster.
And this is Sam Pogue of the Fitness Break Room podcast. Sit back, take a well-deserved break, and learn about the journey that helps shape the most successful fitness professionals in the industry today. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fitness Break Room podcast. We are your hosts. I am Sam Pogue. This is Jessica Webster.
Hello.
Welcome to the Fitness Break Room podcast. Thank you for joining us for episode 1.
Holy moly.
I know.
Really episode 1. We've recorded, I think, 22 podcasts
This will be 22.
now, and this is our episode 1B.
Yeah.
we did already record episode 1, which was our very first podcast that we ever did together. And we realized, wow, we don't know shit about each other. So let's do a few more, and then we can get started on introducing ourselves.
So we go through and do a bunch of guests and like learn as we go. And then now we're finally getting to this point. So we're in Los Angeles. First time we hung out, you'll see that the New York trip, if you start seeing those podcasts, that was like trip number 1 for us together. And then Arizona, and then here.
Yeah, we've done Sedona, Phoenix, New York, LA. We're going to be in Orange County tomorrow, and then we're doing San Diego. So we're like doing the world tour.
The world tour. So the Fitness Break Room really spawned from the idea of being able to create a resource for young or aspiring trainers to get into the fitness market. And essentially what had happened is, my job at On It took me to the Barbell Business Mastermind. And it was there that I went through my hot seat presentation of my greatest opportunity. And that was a coaching style business of helping trainers get up and going into the industry.
It's important to point out here, just for your own story, with Sam's current position as a director of strategic relationships for On It Academy, he is going all over the United States and meeting a ton of really interesting people in the fitness industry. And so naturally, people who are looking to get into the industry want to know, hey, what is the common thread amongst all these people that are doing it really well? So I thought it was a great opportunity for you to go to the Barbell Mastermind and for all of those other masters in the fitness industry to be like, hey, yeah, you need to do some sort of coaching program, which kind of didn't resonate with you at the time, right? I mean, you're kind of a different dude anyway. So I'm not surprised that like the traditional model of like business coaching didn't seem right. So anyway, go ahead. Sam's sitting at the business mastermind. He's like, yeah, guys, good idea, but something's missing.
So it was like, originally it was going to be a heavy coaching service. And then I decided, I think I should write an ebook, at least to have some sort of material that you guys can download. And there'll be a link in the show notes as well as on fitnessbreakroom.com. And it spawned from the idea because I get all the fitness emails that come in through On It. And the amount of emails that I get that are, I didn't know that On It Academy had certifications. Can I do that instead of a NASM or a CrossFit cert? And my answer was maybe, sort of, kind of, it depends.
Can I quit my engineering job to become a trainer? Sure you can, but do you know how much a trainer makes?
Exactly. Exactly. So it was, all right, I need to provide a resource for people to teach them how to become a trainer, like how to price your sessions, how to manage your calendar, where your client's going to come from, where are you going to train from? Are you going to be a sole proprietor or an LLC? What's the benefits to each? Just some baseline information for everybody to really be able to get into this industry and avoid the attrition rate that most people face, which is pretty high. And it's a tough industry as it is. So flash forward a little bit, Jessica called me and we didn't know each other. We only knew each other through our organizations. She had come through a few On It Academy certs. And she had called me asking about being able to do some marketing webinars for the On It Academy trainer community. And at that time, I was like, you know what? Actually, I want to present this opportunity that we could work on together, which became Fitness Break Room. And so now, I mean, it
naturally turned into a podcast because though Sam has over a decade in the industry, and myself, I've been in the marketing industry for 10 years now, in the fitness industry for 5, fitness marketing industry. As a duo, we have a ton of knowledge between the two of us, but who are we to say, this is the way fitness marketing works, this is the way fitness business works. So we're utilizing our Rolodex of people that we know in the industry to bring them on and to share their voices on the air so that we can learn, so you guys can learn. And we're really excited for you guys to listen to the podcast that we have lined up. We have people who run enormous corporate gyms with amazing pay structures for personal trainers. We're going to be interviewing just as large gyms with maybe a less awesome pay structure for personal trainers, but more accessible we are interviewing small gym owners that have 1 or 2 trainers, but these trainers are like family to them. So you'll get an understanding of the industry from the inside out and really find out like what resonates most with you, so you can leapfrog through a lot of the challenges that Sam has experienced in like just grinding in the training industry, and
I'm a
like all of
grinder.
my clients have you're gonna find out soon enough. He is a grinder. Excuse me. So yeah, that is the point of the podcast. And Sam, I am super excited to be your co-host.
I'm excited for you to be my partner and, to be able to share this experience with you, because
Thank you.
she's the brains behind this whole thing. I just lug around the podcast equipment and line up the scheduling for podcasts.
Oh, that's not true. You're half the brain. The buff one.
The
buff
quarter
part.
brain. We'll go with that. But definitely the talent and physical labor in this area. So, we really hope that this can be an awesome resource for you. The goal of the show isn't just about fitness and training. It's not just about business. They'll have both of those elements. But what we really want to highlight is all of these amazing superstars in the fitness industry, and humanize them a little bit and show them they were once a brand new person, that they've gone through tumultuous experiences, and that it hasn't been all cookies and rainbows, and that they have a story behind them. And that's what we really want to showcase, and show that they are really humans as well, beyond this ethereal leader or podcast host or Instagram celebrity or whatever it is, and bring them down to show that they're just like any of us day to day, and share their story, because that's what really truly makes them unique. Is not just the end route that they have this 300,000 person following in these online programs, but that they went through some hard years and they went through some experiences of growth, and I think it's really exciting to start peeling back those layers and learning about those people.
You won't hear any hacks from us. You won't get any like formulas or any of those buzzwords. And that's super important for me as a marketer, seeing all of these, quote, fitness gurus, fitness marketing gurus on Facebook. It's like, of all the people that we've interviewed for the podcast, and of the hundreds of thousands of trainers that we've interacted with in our careers, how many of them have gotten successful from a formula, or a sales script? I understand that it does work for a lot of people, but you'll find in these interviews that the common thread isn't the email marketing strategy. Marketing is pretty simple. Once you get the basics down and the best practices, it's not rocket science. It's human nature when it comes down to it. And we'll have some other podcasts called Breakdowns, which we'll explain in a moment, that will help you through some of the more the methodologies and the strategies of helping you navigate the business side of the industry. But the guiding principles between all of our interviewees is, and they don't even know each other. A lot of these people, I mean, we didn't even tell them like, oh, hey, do you think you can talk about this? It's always community. It's about constant learning and being a student, being super, super humble about what you know. Servitude. Oh my gosh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Like, just, you're here for others, not yourself.
Yeah.
And if you aren't coming into it with that mindset, then you're going to be one of those 75% that don't make it within the first 3 months, which is a real stat for trainers, right?
Yeah. Not, that's a stat that I was aware of in my early career. It could have changed, just as an FYI, but typical rule of thumb is 3 out of 4 trainers typically are out of the industry within 3 months, which sucks.
Yeah. But speaking of early years of trainers, I guess we should kind of talk about ourselves, because we don't tend to do that a lot on the show.
Oh, on the show, it's like I talk about myself all the time.
Oh God,
that's why I
know.
have a podcast. You have to listen to my annoying voice.
But yeah, let's get to know us.
Okay.
And then we'll spare them for the next 500 episodes.
Yeah.
So Sam, tell me about you when you were a wee boy.
Oh man.
Back in Korea. I want to start from the beginning, because
Do you?
An interesting story.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes, wait till you hear this.
I was born in South Korea, and I was a 3-month preemie and abandoned, and lived in an orphanage for 8 months prior to being adopted by an amazing family in Kelso, Washington. And my dad worked at a paper mill. My mom was a youth minister, and had a very traditional upbringing. Got to play every sport I ever wanted to play. Got to, food on the table. Enough food, definitely too much food, because I had some chubby years, and played sports, and I wasn't always focused around like I was going to be in fitness. Like, this was never a career I was going to go in and like, I want to be a physical therapist, or I want to be a strength coach, and to be honest, I didn't know what any of these things were. So flash forward, and I ended up going to college at the University of Portland, and I was a business major there, and I rowed crew for 4 years there, which is the boat rowing that you see on the rivers or the lakes. Yes, I know I'm not super tall. We were a club team, so most guys that do crew
They
have
don't
to be
know
like
that you're sitting
6'4".
down.
Yeah, because I look like I have a huge torso, and the table's up to like my chest. So, just brutal honesty. Self-deprecating humor is something I like to do, so be prepared for that. So went to the University of Portland and, a business major there and really focused around startup businesses and organizational communications. And ended up actually failing out of school my sophomore year of college. I was super into the party scene, didn't manage my time super well, and ended up getting back into school and still finishing and graduating on time, and just had to learn a lot about myself, and I had some family and some health issues with my folks at the time, and that led to some of that. But I can't blame that because I definitely had a case of beer in my hand a fair amount of times throughout that period. But ended up finishing in college in 2008, which for those of you who are old enough to know, 2008 was not an awesome a time for the economy, and there were no jobs. I always envisioned being from Portland or in the Northwest that I would get done with school and go work for Nike or Adidas or Widmer, which is a brewery, and do marketing or business development or sales of some sort. And we graduated school in May of 2008, and I just couldn't get a job. And spent 4 months, May, June, July, yeah, August, couldn't get a job. And finally, a friend of mine got me an interview. Megan Morris got me an interview at 24 Hour Fitness in the Pearl District to do membership sales. And I was like, I have no money. Like, I'm pretty sure I have a negative beyond like my student loan debt, like a negative mark in my checking account. And ended up getting a job at 24 Hour Fitness and doing sales and working for someone who was younger than I was, that didn't go to school, and that I had a really hard time with that because a little arrogant and very proud that I went to college and got it done and have a top tier education, and which you should be. You should be proud of that education, but I didn't handle that the best way. But still couldn't find another job, and so I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to stick this out until I find something else. I can't afford to leave this. So I was consistently always trying to get out of the industry and always trying to like not be there because I didn't want to be a membership sales guy at a gym. Like that wasn't a big kid job, quote unquote. You finish college, you're supposed to go have this job. So I spent a year and a half doing that. And during this time, I really befriended a lot of the training staff that was there at the gym, and Tony Gracia, Aaron Sanchez, and Steve Fittinger, Joey Arnold, and just a lot of guys that really helped shape who I was early in by just lifting. And it wasn't that I was like going into it to learn how to lift because I was going to go be a trainer. It was like I might as well learn something while I'm here, and this at least interests me. And inevitably, it led me down this path to power lift and Olympic lift and do a strongman competition. What was it? God, it had to have been April of 2009. Tony and I, Tony owns Industrial Strength Gym in Portland, and he was going to go down and do a strongman competition on the coast in Seaside, Oregon. And I was like, I'll go down and watch. Like, that sounds fun. And then it turned into, why don't you just compete since you're going to be down there? And I'm like, like I didn't have a clue because I had never done something like this before. So ended up signing up for the competition and jumping in and did pretty well, and it was a ton of fun. And it led me down this path of like, okay, I can get down on some competing. So I got into like powerlifting meets and some Olympic lifting meets and really just learned the basics of strength, right? Mark Ripato's starting strength and Jim Wendler's 531. Really started following like Smitty Diesel and Joe DeFranco and Jason Ferrugia as early like people that I was following in the industry. And it was still like, okay, I'm just here. Like, it's just a job. Flash forward, ended up getting a job doing what I thought was going to be marketing for a kiteboarding, wakeboarding company just outside of Portland, and then switched into a role for North American wakeboard sales. And they had asked, they're like, oh, can you wakeboard? And I'm like, well, I can wakeboard. Like, I can get up and ride, and I can eat shit really well. Like, I crash exceptionally well because I didn't grow up with a boat. Like, I mean, athletic enough to get up and ride, but like, I couldn't spin or do tricks or anything. I could just ride, try to jump a wake, and eat it. So 2 months in, I was let go, more or less for not being a culture fit, but the terminology I was told was for not being bro enough. I know for those of you who know me, it seems really weird that I'm not bro enough because I wear like chubby short shorts and like tank tops all the time. Like I'm pretty bro. So I got fired, and this was noon on a Friday, and I drove back to the 24-hour fitness I used to work at, and Rusty Sandusky, my old fitness manager, was like, "Dude, what are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I just got fired from my job." And he's like, "Oh shit, I'll pay for your first cert if you want to become a trainer." And I was like, "It's pretty good. Get fired at noon and get employed by like 3 p.m."
It's funny how the universe works,
Right.
huh?
And so I was like, "Well, whatever. It's not a big kid job, right? But it's something, and at least it pushes me towards something." And it was an environment I was super comfortable in. I knew everybody there. I knew how to sell fitness. I had a grasp of understanding of how to train some sessions by then in terms of what it would look like, because I would just spend so much time with the trainers. And so I started in August of 2010 as a trainer. And my first month, I remember I had sold and signed up, people, and I did 40 sessions in the month. So pretty good for a very first month trainer. Came into it with business right away. Sean Piper and Sarah Kleinman were like two of my first clients. And then second month did 80 sessions, and my third month I did 120 sessions, which at 24 earned you a 5% increase on your sales. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty easy. Like, it's not that bad. You relate to people, talk fitness, and you hang out. Like, it's fun. Like, was I I didn't think of myself as this ultimate like strength coach or like this ultimate programmer. I thought I had just enough knowledge to give people some good information and work with them. But I know that my true value is the ability to connect with people and just share space. And fitness just happened to be the avenue that we use to get to know each other and find some goals and whatnot. But even then, like I'm a 24-year-old kid, 23-year-old punk kid. But it was easy. It went well. So I started hammering out sessions, and I was consistently doing 30, 40 hours a week of sessions, and progressively climbed my way up to a master trainer. And that's where you do 2,000 sessions, and I had 3 certifications by that point in time, and they were just like not just CPT certs, but they were CPT certs, certified personal trainer certs. So like NCSF, AFAA, and then I went and got like my USAW, my weightlifting cert, and that permitted me to get to the highest pay rank that I could, and things were going well. It was entertaining enough for me, and I wasn't unhappy, but I was still consistently looking for the big kid job. So I had flirted around with a couple opportunities at Nike with Spark when it was a part of Nike and Red Bull, and finally decided to go work for an organization called Icon Staffing Network. One of my coworkers, Aaron Simpson, his wife was a managing partner and founder of this firm, and being a trainer has this sexy title, like you're a personal trainer, and it was like, I thought I was like okay, like I didn't really care about that piece. And so I really wanted to go and like have like an office job and make money and have a salary and not be a commission employee, even though I was doing fine. But I thought that was the life I'm supposed to go live. And that was a heavy commission focused job, and I couldn't take that kind of pay cut from having a consistent training business. So I trained a client every morning at 6 a.m., went to work from 8 to 5, came back and trained at 6 and to 7 p.m. I was on the board of a nonprofit called Portland Youth Builders. I was getting ready to get going as what's called a chemo pal with Children's Cancer Society. I was playing and then managing a adult men's baseball team called the Bridgetown Thunder. And I still had a pretty rigorous like friend and family schedule. Like, we do family dinners and we do trips together, and I went home and saw my family, or they came down and watched baseball games. So it was like I was gone from my house every morning from 5 a.m. till 10, 11 p.m. every night, and I did that for a couple years. And by this time, I had taken my training business from 24 and went privateer at Industrial Strength Gym. And I'm the type that I can crush hours. Like if you want to play the game of who can work the most hours, I'll not often lose that game, and that's easy for me to do. But my buddy Nate and I were at dinner, and he looks at me and he's like, "Dude, you make me feel like shit. You have 2 jobs. You do stuff with a nonprofit, trying to get involved with the second one. You play baseball for fun, and you still hang out with us every time we have a get together. What is the highlight of your day?" And I sat there and I was like, fuck, I don't have a highlight. Like, I don't not like my life. I love everybody around me. I loved Icon. I loved all the people there. I loved all my clients. Like the interaction piece, like that was one of the hardest things to want to eventually move away from Portland to Austin, was the people. right? I have such a network in Portland, and all my clients and friends like were there. Like that was honestly the hardest part. And so I was like, damn, I don't have a true highlight, and that's tough when you're 27, 28, wherever I was at that time. And so I really dwelled on that comment from him, and ended up going into work, Monday, and sat down with my boss, Joel, who's an amazing mentor, and I owe a lot to Joel and Ashley and Deborah, who were the partners of this firm. And I was like, man, like I love working for you. Like I feel like I've learned a ton about business and being a man and growth in a professional setting, and I really do cherish working for you. I really hate recruiting. I'm crushing like 120 cold calls a day kind of type of place, more or less. And it was heavy email, heavy phone call. I'm wearing khakis and a polo shirt to work, or a button up, which like going from wearing a t-shirt and gym shorts every day is a big change, and driving to work every day, half hour each way. That was really tough. And I said, I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I've never left to go live, and I feel like a good growth opportunity would be for me to move away. So I'm proposing to let me go work remotely, and let's see if this is really for me, because it's unfair that yeah, sure, I sit in the office 40 hours a week, but I was like in right at 8 and out the door right at 5, because if I wasn't out the door at 5, it got me back to Portland at like 6, and if I left 5:15, I was there at like 6:45. Like it was a brutal commute. And so he came back with, okay, tell me where you end up. And I was like, oh shit. Like you just literally, like, my out was, he says no, I go back to training full time, and then it is what it is. And he didn't give me that out. He gave me yep, go somewhere. Tell me where you go. And so I was debating between Chicago, New York, Boston, and Austin. And today is actually my 3rd year anniversary having moved away from Portland and living in Austin. And I chose Austin because it's November. It's going to be cold in Chicago, New York, and Boston. And Austin seems like a pretty cool choice. And my friend Ashley and James were down there, and they just had a set of triplets. So I was hoping to be able to come down and play with them, because I love playing with those kids. And packed my bag, whatever fit in my SUV, and drove to Texas with my buddy Bryce. And showed up in Austin, and by this point, I didn't know who Onnit was. I didn't know anything about them, couldn't have told you one thing about that style of training, who they were, what they did. But Joe DeFranco had moved his gym operations from New Jersey and combined efforts with Onnit in Austin. And I was like, oh, this is very serendipitous that he, like a trainer that I followed heavily, was moving his operations to the city I was moving. And at first I had heard a rumor that it was only for like special guests, like you could only go there. It was a very elite place. I didn't think it was going to be for like just general people who wanted to work out. So I'm like sending emails everywhere, like, I'm a trainer, like I compete, like I have my shit together, like can I come in and work out there? Not hearing anything. And finally, John Wolf, who's now my boss, had called me and was like, hey man, we're getting ready to open up tomorrow morning, December 1st, 2014. If you want to come in and check the place out. And I was like, okay, I'll be there at 6 a.m. And John's not a morning person. If you guys know John, he's like, okay. So he comes in and gives me a tour, and we talk about it, and we just talk shop and hung out. And he's like, okay, and he's giving me kind of the progressive approach to selling the membership. And I was like, dude, I'm giving you my credit card. I'm coming in here. So I was the very first member of the Onnit Gym when it opened up in 2014. And I wasn't there because I knew maces and clubs and all these things. I was just there because, honestly, DeFranco's name was on the wall. And flash forward, I came in, and I'd come in and work out every day. And I was working from home, doing recruiting from my apartment. And so that was kind of lonely. So the gym was really my only place of social interaction. And so I came to the gym every morning at like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., somewhere in there. And come in and work out, and John always made a point to come out and say hi and bullshit with me and talk, and eventually it was like turning into, what do you do, and what do you hope to do? And I was like, I don't know, I'm doing this job, I don't know if I'm still feeling it, I'm thinking I want to get back out and do something different. And he's like, oh, what do you want to do? And at the time I was pretty dead set on moving to Austin to get out of the fitness industry in general. I didn't want to be pigeonholed, like that was my only skill set, even though if I could frame it as, I managed a book of business, I was in sales, I did branding, however I was trying to frame being a trainer, because you do all of those things. You're your own customer service, you're your own everything. And so I was trying to get into like sporting goods sales, like work for like Rawlings or Louisville Slugger, and do like a territory brand manager rep, like going to shows and talking about gloves. And baseball's a big passion of mine. Like I really love baseball. And so that's where I was like, okay, maybe I'll go chase that down and see if I can get to it. And had some offers. I was talking to a company called BSN. They do a lot of sporting goods sales, and they were like, "Well, do you want to move to like Corpus Christi?" And I was like, "I just got to Austin." I'm like, "No, I don't want to move there. I don't want to move in this place." And they're like, "Well, you can come back and do a corporate job at Dallas." And I was like, I don't want that either. I literally just got here, and I wasn't set on Austin yet in terms of if it was going to make me happy to be there, but I knew I needed to give it a shot. And so, John and I kept bullshitting, and it turned into creating an opportunity for me to come on and work for his team. And so it was literally talking, 'cause coming from a business school background, it was, let's look at the value of the people coming through your certifications and team members, and how are you expanding the value of what they're bringing, and how do you build community? And he's like, oh, I think that would be a great role for you to fit in. So I came on as like the communications manager, and literally just like was overseeing the infrastructure of the Onnit Academy trainer community. And to start out, I didn't know anything about Onnit. I still didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about clubs or maces. So I was like, all right, you've had like 400 people come through this cert so far. Let's learn some stuff about it. So I just like called everybody I could and like, hey, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. Tell me about your business. And the future kind of growth plan was, like John and I had talked, was that I would build like a business coaching service into the Onnit Academy infrastructure for trainers and helping them grow. And so that was always the potential future of what my job would be created into. And so he was going through and learning about people, and ironically, our master coaches, Marcus and Aaron and Sarah, were like the first ones to call me back. And Shane, I had calls with them right away. And then, got to talk to now like senior coaches like Grant Wieditz and Jackie Gonzalez, and they were really early into talking, like week one of like having this conversation of learning about Onnit. And then I was calling everybody that had gone through the certs, and I realized that I had a much better relationship with people if I had met them in person versus like only electronic or phone conversations. Like my strong suit is not electronic communication, I'm pretty short in electronic form, like here's the details, there you go. Not like, how was your day? What's going on? I hope this finds you well. That's just not me. And so I knew that like being in front of people was a much better way to relate to people, and they would just understand me better as a human. They know that I wasn't doing that to be like short with them. It was just how I talked electronically. And so then I started going to every single Onnit Academy cert that came through. And I went to, 18 of them in a row. 18 foundations, and I was like at first just like checking people in and making sure that coaches had water, and like listening and helping on the side in a tertiary role in the back, making sure people felt like they had attention, or if they weren't picking something up, I had enough proficiency at that time to like help someone figure something out, right, or explain it to them so they could understand why they were doing it. But I wasn't that proficient with the tools itself. I just regurgitated what John had said in the front of the room and tried to help someone ascertain that one-on-one. And then it came to a point, Shane had moved down from Canada, and we did our first cert together in Washington, D.C. at Results Gym. And that was the first time where I was like a little bit more positioned to be an instructor. And I still wasn't teaching the seminar from the front of the room. I was still just assisting, but I was there as a coach, not just as like I work on it type person. And that continually grew, and like my growth and development continually grew. And it turned into me really taking an understanding to the Onnit Academy education system that John and Shane had really built. And, I really tried to make an investment in terms of understanding what this fitness system was about and getting out of my own way, knowing like in a barbell back squat, deadlift, power clean, like pretty strong in those patterns. And I knew it. John, if you've seen him, is built similar to like me. We're built like South Park characters. And I use this reference all the time because it gives you a visual of what we look like without me standing up. And, he's incredibly strong, but he's also incredibly mobile. And I remember one day I was squatting, and I'm squatting like 385 for sets of 5. Like, it's not a ton of weight, but it's not shitty weight. And he comes up, and he's like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, just getting some back squats in. He's like, God, I haven't been under a barbell in years. Let me try that. Pops up under the barbell, which I'd been obviously warmed up, working, and this is like multiple sets I've done by this point. And he hits it for a double. And then he's like, okay, Sam, have a great day. See you later. And walks back in the office. And I was like, fuck. Like, how are you that strong and like you don't work at it? Like, I hadn't understood that yet. And, so I was like, okay, I'm going to make a real investment in myself and really learn about clubs and maces and deepen my relationship with the kettlebell and battle ropes and suspension rings. And I took a year off of barbell back squatting heavy. Like I'd still work up to light loads, but like it was really focused around increasing my mobility and understanding my relationship with the tools because I was now starting to teach from the front of the room for the Anna Academy education system. And flash forward a year of just really working within myself, and this was previous April, and I was like, oh, let me just see where my squat is at. Like I've taken some serious time off, and back when I was powerlifting, doing the West Side conjugate system, my best squat was 418 pounds. And that April, I was like, oh, let's just see how it's going. It feels pretty good. And I hit 405 for a fairly easy single. I was like, ooh, all right, I can take a year off of really squatting heavy, and my strength didn't really leave me. Why? Well, it's because my active and passive mobility got better, my skill acquisition went up, and my training age went up. Like I just had a better understanding of my body. And I was like, oh shit, okay, well, I don't have to actually work at this to maintain it. So I can put my efforts into something else because it's going to hold higher values for me later because I have access to all these other skill sets now. And so taking this, and it was really me taking the role of a student and learning how to do all this stuff. Because before, like I understood it, I liked it, but it wasn't something I had a relationship with. And me taking that step really deepened my relationship to On It. And I was like, okay, I'm here. And so then it turned into I was coordinating where all the certs went for On It Academy, as well as hosting all the other educators. So I was getting to be in touch with the Mike Fitches of the world and the Andre Raspinas of the world, Perry Nicholston and Mark Chang and Mike T. Nelson and a lot of leaders in the industry. And it really started getting me to be connected with people outside of just our network. And I'm naturally a networker as it is. Like I really thrive on just meeting new people and engaging with them and learning about them. And then it started, I was like, I started going to like the NSCA conferences and different fitness summits. And it really just like honed in who I was. Like that was my jam. That was my realm, is to be in a front of a room, demoing, talking, and engaging with people, high energy, and do it for 9, 10 hours and 3 days in a row. And it really changed the direction at which my role was probably headed with On It. And it eventually turned into moving into more of a strategic development role. Helping broker a couple large partnerships with On It and bringing in some big accounts, even though that wasn't my job, turned into, let's see what happens if we let you do that full time as opposed to just being a factor of your job. And so essentially, within On It, coming into it, like I've been able to create 2 jobs entirely out of thin air to work within my skill set. Um, and it's something like, I don't say that to like toot my horn or anything, but to do it in a sense of like opportunities are there. A lot of you are probably going to watch this and be like, I want to work on it. I mean, a lot of you feel that way probably anyway, because it's an amazing place to work. But it's also about the reason why I say it is because you need to be able to bring a value proposition to the table that provides value to the organization. Sure, On It's going to be valuable for me, but what can I do for them that's going to make them better? And that's where, as you look at any role within yourself to be able to grow, whether that's from a trainer to a owner to a manager, whatever it is that you have to provide that value that you are bettering the team and bettering the group and bettering the business for those opportunities to make sense. Sure, you can say like, well, I do that anyway, or I could do that. It's like, you could, how and why? And so now we're sitting here and moved into this strategic development role and getting to meet Jessica and turn Fitness Break Room into a reality. Really, it's been a thought in my head since I got there. Obviously, John and I had talked about making a business coaching avenue within the Anna Academy system, and then potentially, if we were ever to open up other facilities, really overseeing that strategy of opening up new facilities if we go that route. And using like my knowledge of not only a fitness business, having been successful inside of as a personal trainer, coming from the education side of being focused around business, and then really honing that and it's like, all right, here's the best deliverable that you can provide, because I don't train on a day-to-day basis anymore. I still love it. I love training people and I love that I get to coach seminars. but it's not my day-to-day. I don't manage a book of business. I'm not training clients. I'll get to train someone occasionally. But it was like the best of both worlds. I still worked in fitness, but I got to be more on the strategy side. And I thought that was going to be the end-all, be-all route. And then, Fitness Break Room really kind of came into fruition. Jessica came into my life. Life got happier. And, now we're at this point in time where I have this opportunity with On It where my role is to really travel around and get to engage with different people in the market. So going to like the NSCA national shows, going to the Vigor Ground Summit, going to different fitness events and competitions, and going to other people's gyms and just networking. And it's not with the goal of like anything's necessarily always going to be a financial win, but just to get to know people. And I think that grassroots method, for as large as On It is, was a super powerful way for us to connect with the industry, and that is fitness. And so this really stems well, like Fitness Break Room really works really well because, well, while I'm out and about and doing all these things for my day job, I get to take advantage of all the amazing people that I get to meet, right? And because of that job, it allows me access to people that I probably wouldn't have had access to had I never taken the leap to move to Austin. And I think that's really important to remember for myself is that my journey, flash back when I was talking about when I was a membership counselor at the 24 Hour Fitness, I fucking hated it. Like it was like the bane of my existence. I was so unhappy. I was making no money essentially, and it was just brutal. Like it just didn't fulfill me. But I wouldn't be sitting here today because fitness was never on my radar if I had never taken that job, right? It wouldn't have led me down that path of, oh, I did a powerlifting meet. I did some Olympic lifting meets. Oh, I became a trainer. And then, I went through all these like journeys of like kept trying to get out of it. And eventually decided to pack my bags and move to Austin and get out of the fitness industry, only to wind up working it On It and finding this amazing opportunity, having an amazing partner, having an amazing opportunity to have Fitness Break Room really come into fruition and really help change fitness from the bottom up. And I remember point blank early in my career, one of my clients was a developer. And he was like, dude, we should put some videos of you on the iTunes store of like squatting and deadlifting. And I'm like, dude, I'm a nobody. If I was like Joe D or Smitty or Jay Ferrugia, like, yeah, those guys should be on there. But like, why would I be on there? Like, I'm a nobody. So it wasn't a route I was even thinking about back then. Now I'm like, fuck, if I could have a couple videos in the iTunes store from like 2007 or 8, like I probably wouldn't make any money, but at least they'd say they were there. And, but then to be sitting here today is, very fulfilling to know that I've been able to create a career out of nothing and then continually find ways to make this work for me. And now I finally feel like I'm in this like big kid job and I have this super fulfilling aspect. I have an amazing partner. I have an amazing team. My boss is awesome. My organization is amazing. And I get to sit here today going, man, it's so cool. Like, what did you do last week? Oh, I went to Arizona and met up with Dr. Jimmy Ewan and Eric Dannenberg and the OPEX crew and the Chicago Cubs. And you're like, is that real life? Like, there's no way. Like, and I don't mean this to sound douchey, but like my job's pretty fucking cool. Like, I get to fly around and just go hang out with people, right? And talk shop and find wins and find a way for us just to get to know each other. So overall, that's realistically my story and how I got into fitness and how it inevitably I got into this role On It and starting Fitness Break Room. And I really relish the journey that I was able to go on and share that with you all today.
What's up, everybody? Jessica here. Okay, this seems like a somewhat natural break in the show to let you in on a few things. First off, we also have a video version of every episode, so if you're not in your car or you are whatever, and you like to live dangerously, you can go to fitnessbreakroom.com to see Sam and I and our lovely guests recording in LA, San Diego, New York, Austin, all the places we visit to bring you access to the break room. Secondly, we need to go in for an ask. I know it's early, but this is so important to the success of the break room. This might be more info than you want to know, but hey, maybe you're starting a podcast and want to know this. We need to hit at least 30 good reviews in our first week or so after we've launched, so it would be a huge gift to us if you could take 30 seconds to subscribe to the Fitness Break Room on iTunes and leave us a review. If that happens, there's a good chance we'll be showcased in the new and noteworthy section, and that's exactly what we need to ensure the podcast is off to a strong start. The stronger the start, the more time we can dedicate to bringing you these unique stories of fitness professionals that are just rocking this industry. If you could do that, that would be amazing. To make this ask a little bit more juicy, if you send me a screenshot of your review, I'll give you an extra entry into our monthly Fitness Industry Night giveaway, where Sam and I pick one subscriber to win hundreds of dollars worth of fitness swag every last Friday of the month. This month, it's December 2017, is a huge assortment of Onnit supplements and golden earbuds. Fancy. So you can find all that information on our homepage. And thanks to Onnit, as always, you guys rock. Love you. If you haven't entered to win this giveaway, you can go to our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, to do that. And then you can email me your screenshot of your review on iTunes at jessica@fitnessbreakroom.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram at jessicawebster_, and I'll give you that extra entry to win that awesome giveaway from our friends at Onnit. All right, that's it for me. Enjoy the rest of the show, and thanks so much in advance for your review. It means a lot to us. It really does.
As you guys will hear from a lot of our other podcasts, while training one-on-one clients isn't your thing necessarily now at this point in your life, it can be totally fulfilling and a big kid job for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it all just depends on who you are.
Yep.
You know, you really got to dabble. That's what I'm finding with a lot of people that we've spoken to. Like, you got to put your toe in a lot of things. There would be a lot of people, if they were to be sitting in your chair, they'd be like, this is crazy. I hate traveling. I don't like hearing myself talk.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't like having so many interactions with, you know, hundreds of people a week. So your nightmare is someone else's, you know, like, best job ever.
Yeah.
And there's so many different vocations you can have in the fitness industry that are just like not your typical ones. That's a pretty cool story, Sam. Thank
you. Thank you for letting me go on that long ass spiel. Hopefully you guys didn't tune out and fall asleep.
You straight up talked for 40 minutes.
No,
straight.
we had like 10 minutes of ourselves too. So yeah, that's really my story and getting to get here today. But now I'm really excited to learn about how you found a role inside of fitness, coming from a non-fitness background as well.
Right.
Like, you didn't go to school for exercise science or anything, and like, I'm going to be a trainer. And you really carved out your own role in fitness when there really wasn't fitness marketing as big as it is now. So
it wasn't like the sexy thing to do back then. It was like
Yeah.
the stupid thing to do.
And now it's like everywhere on your Facebook feeds, like copywriting coaching and fitness marketing coaching and ads and all these things. So
yeah. When I'm like, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to do online marketing for myself. They're like, oh, so you want to be poor. Oh, got it. I'm like, okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks, mom and dad.
So let's start from your beginning. How
Yeah.
did you got to go from like how your mom and dad met and
I'll spare you that one. I think it can start actually though around grade school, which seems kind of early on, but it was a milestone in my life where I was even telling you at lunch today, I was a very weird kid and not weird, not like a pick your nose, eat your boogers kind of way, but in a like, I never felt like I fit in anywhere. I didn't understand why girls wanted to have sleepovers or go to the mall. I definitely didn't fit in with the boys since I was not athletic at all. I just kind of like ate alone all the time. I felt like I just saw too much happening and I didn't know why that was. And now looking back, I realize that I'm what you would call like an empath. It's people who they have literally more mirror neurons. And like if you yawn, you know, I yawn, that kind of thing. And so I just sense people's like their energy and their fakeness and or their insecurities, and I would take on that feeling. And I wasn't really sure what were my feelings and what were their feelings. So I kind of like was a super loner for a long time. Like, I literally didn't have a single friend until high school. So I spent a lot of time listening and observing and being home alone, playing the piano. I grew up in South LA, so like not a super great neighborhood, so I didn't even really go outside. I would play the piano like really quiet, so none of the neighborhood kids would like hear me. So they'd come. They were all super nice kids, you know. But I just felt like a weird kid. Like I don't get why kids do all this stuff. So in high school, I was like, nope. You know, I'm gonna turn myself around. I don't want to be the weird kid anymore because I was going to a new school. You know, I can kind of rewrite myself, and I became extroverted party animal girl. And that wasn't like a great choice, obviously. Like, I grew up pretty fast in high school and made a lot of weird decisions that I'm afraid are still on the internet somewhere, like those kinds of things.
Oh, I can't wait to Google the shit.
No, you don't need to do that. But and then in college, I continued on that trend. It wasn't until maybe my 4th or 5th year in university at Long Beach State where I was like, oh God, I'm going to graduate in a few years. I graduated in 2010. So like 2008 happened. And I was like, okay, so I'm not going to get a job at the end of this process. And no one's going to save me.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I going to do? My dad was a weatherman. He wasn't on TV, but he was a meteorologist, and so everyone thought he was on TV. I was like, it'd be kind of cool to be a news anchor. So I went to school for broadcast journalism. I didn't continue on that specification or that specialization in journalism because in doing things like this and being on camera and being on audio, I sucked so bad and I had no discipline whatsoever. So I was like, I'm just bad on camera, and I kind of told myself that story. But I always wanted to do it so bad. So it's really fun that I get to do this on the Barbell Business Podcast and now our awesome podcast. And I'm like, fuck, I'm pretty good at this stuff finally. So full circle, that's nice. So when I actually ended up graduating with a degree, a BA in journalism with an emphasis in PR and like being a publicist, because I knew that I loved hearing people's stories, and I didn't really think that I was special, so I wouldn't become someone that someone would want to listen to or watch. But I was like, I know how to tell stories. I'm naturally a good person at understanding what's special about a certain person and relaying that to somebody else. So essentially what I knew I was a marketer, even though I didn't go to school for that. But luckily for me, right around that time, 2010, when everything was going online, also newspapers weren't really sure how they were going to monetize. So as a journalist, I was like, what the hell am I going to, like, what am I going to write for? These newspapers are all going to go out of business, And publicists, like, how are they doing this now? And so I naturally got into content marketing. So that was right around the time when the first content marketers started figuring out, like, the internet is a totally different medium of advertising now and of marketing. This is the new and ethical way of doing it, which is empowering the consumer to make decisions instead of, the salesperson having all of the power. So it was this really cool shift that I was fortunate enough to be in the front end of. I actually worked right down the street here. We passed by it earlier in Wilshire, and living in Long Beach and taking on this marketing position. It took me 2 hours to get there in the morning, 2 hours back, and it's only like 30 miles. So like just LA traffic was terrible. But I realized I am pretty good at this marketing thing. The company that I work for didn't really have a big budget, so I had to learn how to work really lean. I wouldn't say it was a startup because it didn't have like that cool startup feel. It was just like a kind of a broke company. Yeah. But and we were also selling these really kind of boring things. I feel bad if this company's listening because they really did change my life. But they sold things like mothballs and soaps and sponges and like all the things that you would find in the grocery store, that weird aisle where you never really buy stuff from because it's kind of expensive, but like in an emergency you go there. So like all that stuff. Yeah. Toilet bowl, like blue drops and stuff. Okay. And so I found a love of marketing things that were really challenging to market. Like, how are you going to get people interested in toilet stuff? It was difficult.
Sounds shitty.
It was super shitty. So it did get so shitty that I was like, I freaking can't drive 2 hours to work every day. Yeah. And 2 hours back. And I was also working at a restaurant at the time, so I was just like all over the place. Also, I'm done with the toilet industry. And so I quit without a real plan. I was thinking I might just work more at the restaurant. And on my drive home, I get a call from a friend who I had just randomly met at a bar one day down in Long Beach, who we had talked marketing anyway. He called me. He said he was looking for a marketing assistant at this freaking awesome interactive touchscreen app company. And so obviously I was like, hell yes. I just quit my job, and it was down Orange County. So I moved on down Orange County. And in that position, I learned a lot of really killer skills. It's really where I really honed my talent for inbound marketing and creating specialized campaigns for specific types of people. And so throughout this whole process, I'm learning through it being an agency, I'm able to work with different companies like universities and Disney and Nike and very small companies and nonprofits, and their target audiences are all so different, and their messages and their products are also different. So how can I create this online experience that really expresses the heart of these companies to a type of person that's just walking friggin' by, walking by a piece of apparatus, a touch screen, which at the time people didn't naturally go and touch screens, right? So it was a lot of really cool challenges. And throughout that, it was also a very corporate company, so I was dealing with some old boys club sorts of issues. And being a young woman at the time, I had a lot of insecurities around that. So I worked my ass off. I always felt undervalued, whether that was actually happening or not. Now that I look back, I'm not sure if that was just my projection of it. But being in that environment, I was like, I'm so unhappy. You know, the more output I gave, the more like just projects I got. And I just wasn't feeling it, you know? So around that same time, I discovered CrossFit. One of the guys that worked in my company was starting a CrossFit gym down the street, and he was looking for people to just be in the photo shoot of like, you know, like your first photo shoot where you can create the website and stuff. And I walked in there, I was like, oh, it's like a playground for adults. This is great. So I found strength there. And I also found that some really terrible marketing happens in the CrossFit industry in particular at the time. Not at that gym. They actually did an awesome job, but more like a lot of the supplements are marketing to the functional fitness space, and CrossFit gyms in general had that really intense, like everything's black and on fire and skulls and chains. And it still had that like really intense kind of marketing that wasn't exactly... like it wasn't really what CrossFit was about, you know, and I talk about CrossFit a lot because that was really my entry into the fitness industry. And I saw how many people that whole like craze really helped. And I was like, how many more people can this help if they just marketed themselves in the way that was like correct as to like what the gym owner envisions for this place, not what just the CrossFit brand has like become. It's like, what was that? Before the CrossFit style of the tall socks, there's Affliction was kind of like the style back then. So I just out of nowhere I was like, I'm done with corporate life, I'm just going to start my own business. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I knew that I could make that company millions of dollars. It's like I could probably make myself like $20,000
right,
you know,
right.
I mean,
Tons of money.
Yeah, like just something would be better than how it was feeling at the time. So I got accredited in all of the marketing accreditations that you possibly can, and I wrote a blog every single day on CrossFit marketing, which you cannot do anymore. I mean, you can't use the word CrossFit in your marketing if you're not affiliated or if you're not CrossFit HQ. But I was like, well, whatever, you know, like I'm 23, like I'll just play stupid, you know. I think it was less enforced at the time, but I was just like, you know, CrossFit marketing this, like how to build a CrossFit website, how to CrossFit this in business. And it was like I was playing fake it till you make it. And I got a lot of really great clients through just search engine optimization. Again, not a lot of people were in the space. And hustled my butt off, and I had a really good time. Also, being 23, I don't know how to run a business. So there are the things of like accounting and taxes, even still to this day, I struggle with. But a lot of those, managing your time, you know, I didn't listen to any podcasts on optimization or anything at that point. I was just like, how am I going to make money? You know, and I want to work for myself. So I didn't know anything about meditation or balance. It was just fucking hustling the whole time. And I got to the point where I was going to just hang up my shit. You know, I was making really good money, but I didn't know how to hire out or how to manage any employees. So I couldn't grow, and I didn't know how to say no. And with my clients, I felt like their businesses were my business. And so I would emotionally attach myself to the success of their businesses, which transcends marketing, of course. You know, they were having problems with dealing with coaches, and they had business acumen problems themselves, and they had, you know, just difficulty managing their money. And so I was, for my clients, learning about all these other things so I could help them, because I really, really wanted them to do well. So through that, I got a lot of awesome experience. But right when I was like, I'm done with this, I'm just going to go work at Forever 21 or something, I get a call from Marcus Gurzy, who, it was funny, back when I was working out at his gym, him and Scott Pfeiffer's gym.
Was that the CrossFit that you... Oh, interesting.
Yeah. We were always like, we're going to work together one day. You know, just we're not sure how, kind of like you and I know. We're like, we're going to work together one day. And he had told me about this idea for something that he wanted to do. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So just maybe even weeks later, it was like a very close amount of time, I get so I have some like free downloads on my website, on my CrossFit marketing website. And this company called Iron Logic downloads something from my site. And because I wasn't having like hundreds of downloads, I was following up on every single lead that came in,
Yeah.
right? I was like, ooh, who's this person? And it turns out to be another CrossFit marketing agency like myself. You know, JD, with, Iron Logic or Barbell Logic, and now it's called Gym Right. He was kind of doing some recon work, like, ooh, who's his competitor? And I looked at his site, I was like, this guy looks like he's kind of doing something like Marcus wanted to do. So I connected those two, or I told Marcus about him, and I think they got together that way. And they put together this amazing concept for automating the sales and marketing for affiliated gyms. So they called me in knowing that that's my specialty in creating marketing and sales processes that, are automated essentially. And we created like the dream team. The three of us created this really cool marketing software. And yeah, that was called Iron Logic at the time. And then we sold a couple of those at like 10 grand a pop. I think we sold like 5 of them at 10 grand startup, and then $1,000 a month recurring. So at the time it was like, we were kind of legit,
Yeah.
like, whoa, what CrossFit gyms can afford to do that? But we really marketed ourselves well for like the small group that we were.
Totally.
But we realized, okay, we're going to need some bigger players in this game. So Marcus reached out to, I forget how they got involved, but Mike Bledsoe and Doug Larson with Barbell Shrugged, who were looking for something to help their audience because they were just now expanding the Barbell Business podcast. And so the stars really aligned there because we had this really cool product that was made just for CrossFit gyms, and they had this really engaged CrossFit fan base that were looking for something like what we had. So we merged companies there, and I was with Barbell Shrugged and the Barbell Business team for a little while. And through that, I mean, I just have a million stories, and I'll spare you guys on all those. But what I found is I really like learned about myself in that process. I did a lot of self-development with the team because they were really big into understanding your personality, understanding just what drives you, helping you work in integrity, understand balance, understand like you are living to make a life, not a living, that your vocation should be in line with everything that you do. And it taught me a lot of really great lessons. And through Barbell Shrugged, Barbell Business, I met John Wolf at the mastermind in April of 2015. Yeah. And meeting him changed my world. Like I feel like a lot of people have a similar experience, but I had a very transformative experience when I met John Wolf from Onnit. And through that, I just kind of became enamored with Onnit. And I was like, oh, I love what you guys were doing. And I wanted to figure out how I could work with you. I ended up leaving Barbell Shrugged after I met my fiance, who's Canadian. We moved up to Ottawa and been there for a year and a half. And I've just restarted my my fitness marketing business again. The one that I had before Iron Logic and Barbell Business and all of that. But I'm a new woman now. I understand balance. My clients are much more in tune with the way that I do business. Oh, and full circle, the reason why I brought up grade school and feeling so weird now is that I realized that my marketing methodology, while there's inbound marketing and content marketing and affiliate marketing and podcast marketing and all these types of marketing, what it really comes down to is understanding like you are actually a special snowflake. And I don't care who tells you you're not. People are different, and it doesn't make you entitled to anything at all. But in the sense of, how do I market myself in the most effective way? It's by being authentic. And being authentic is hard to do because we grow up insecure. We grow up not really knowing who am I really, or who am I like just being things that I liked, that I saw, and that girl that I knew when I was young, she was the cool girl. Like, am I like really that person, or in my business, right? Am I just kind of like mimicking something that I saw that I liked? And is that really me? And the reason why that matters is like, I've worked with so many gym owners and trainers now who do that thing where they're like, that really worked for that guy or woman. I'm going to implement it. I'm going to do the formula. I'm going to do the 6-step program or whatever. And while they might have some short-term sales, like at the end, they kind of like, I don't know, this doesn't feel right. And that's why marketing and sales can feel kind of like douchey for some people. It's because it's not the way that they would do it. You know, I would never cold call anyone. I would never go door to door. I would never go to a bar and just start picking up clients like you would in that last instance, right? Like that's just not me. I have to operate in a different way because that's just who I am, you know? So that's my marketing methodology now with working with trainers and people in the fitness industry is like, it's more just, okay, let's understand you. That's an intensive branding process that I go through all my clients with. It's like, let's know you first before we start building out any funnel, you know? Because the funnel's the easy part.
Yeah.
Like training and gym stuff, like it's all the same, you know? Every CrossFit gym's the same. Every like place that swings kettlebells around is the same. Every Globo gym is the same in the sense that you're here to help people get better and you have some heavy stuff or machines that you help them do and you have trainers, right? We're not sitting around inventing new ways to do things necessarily. Some people are for sure, but when it really comes down to it, people are your client. As I'm going to find a trainer that I love because of that person, you know? And if my trainer who I love hands me a barbell or hands me a freaking jump rope or hands me a steel mace, I'm going to do whatever he tells me to do because I'm like, I trust you and your style and your brand and everything. So that's kind of like how this all came about. I was like, I felt like a weird kid, but as an adult, I'm like, oh, weird is actually really good. It's super good. So I'm here to promote weirdness.
I love
in
it.
the industry.
Go through a little bit just quickly about your branding and what all, because that's a really intriguing story as well in terms of understanding your archetypes and
Yeah.
because there's a lot of fitness marketing out there and a lot of people do really great work. And we're not here to dislodge or disprove that they don't do great work, but I think there's something really unique what she does to help pull out who you really are. And that's the difference, right? In fitness marketing or any sort of content marketing strategy, it's like you have your big part of your funnel, social media, free content, you have some sort of lead magnet or freemium product, and then you have some sort of primary offering and an experience offering and then a platinum offering. And you just drip people down the campaign and getting them to go through it over and over and over with sexy Instagram posts that lead them to a landing page that get them to put something in their cart and buy something, which across the board, like you guys go through that every day when you click on like download this free e-guide on how to whatever, run a marathon, or how to write copyright for your business. But what makes it really unique is what she's saying is the ability to hone it in, like who you are as a business, right? If you're someone that's going to be unapologetically loud and obnoxious, like make that about your brand. That's fine. It's okay to own that. Or if you're not going to be someone that wants to put themselves out there a lot like that and you want to have more like, separate videos or content that you're not the face of it, like that's fine too. But you need to identify that self before you start. And Jessica really pulls that out of people to understand who they are.
Well, first of all, thanks for explaining the marketing crank because I always forget that people don't many people may not understand how the marketing funnel works. We should definitely do a breakdown on that soon. But my branding process is kind of it's a synergy between a lot of things. Like on the show, we talk quite a bit about bringing in constantly learning and about things that aren't necessarily in your industry, right? So we had Doc Williams on. He studies arts and crafts, and that helps him in his business, which has obviously nothing to do with arts and crafts, but it helps him stand out and gives him new ideas. So a few of the things that I've been studying lately, taking some philosophy courses, obviously always studying psychology, which I mean, that is marketing. So that's pretty important. But some of the less like obvious ones would be study comics and superheroes and supervillains and ancient Chinese texts. And I like to have a whole bunch of different, like some modern things and some old things, because who are we to say like things that were written thousands and thousands of years ago that are still studied to this day. The I Ching, for example, which I talked about at the On It retreat, it's something that is still studied in terms of art and psychoanalysis and business and all these things. So like there've got to be some answers in this old book. And the I Ching, for example, is one of my favorite ones when it comes to branding. It's a book of 64 parables that when you read it, it's kind of like, what's this about? But because it's so old, people have created the next octave of these books, you know? So there's always like somebody who will, go through them and see if there's something in there that can be applied to modern day. So throughout the centuries, these 64 parables have then become 64 archetypes of humanity. And they're like the 64 superpowers of humanity. And also with all these 64 superpowers are 64 shadows, or like like your dark sides and
Your yin
kind of
and your
like,
yang.
yeah, exactly. Like superheroes, most superheroes have some superpower, and with their superpower, they also have a dark side, something that they're constantly struggling with. And in the branding process, we go through a pretty extensive questionnaire to find out what your primary archetypes are, but it gives you an underlying idea of what the quality of your life's work is. So it doesn't necessarily tell you, your color's pink and, like this is the font you should use, but it puts you in the right mindset of understanding, okay, where you really, really excel in your strength that you bring to the world. And if you don't really resonate with any of these superpowers, you can look at the shadow frequencies or some of these dark sides. Some examples would be like insecurities or jealousy or chaos. And you can resonate with one of those. And you can look at that and be like, I feel chaotic all the time, or I feel like very disorganized all the time. I'm going to work on that so that that becomes my superpower. And a lot of times you'll hear authors who write books because they wanted to learn about that topic. They're like, I was just so, like Alton Brown, for example, he's on the Food Network. He was like, I was just so bad at cooking. I realized I need to learn how to do this. And he just geeked out on it. He just researched. And now he's like a celebrity chef, that's like the science foodie of the food world. So anyway, it's really just helping people understand who they are in those 64 archetypes. And then within those 64 archetypes, we go through this process of showing, what kind of role you should play with that archetype as your superpower. In doing this process with Sam, he is very in tune with what's trendy and what's sexy. And like, he's a natural marketer, even though he wouldn't call himself that naturally. He's very in tune with like what's hot these days. And when he talks, people listen to him. And it's a natural gift, where my role, even though I'm a marketer, I'm not a natural marketer. I have to do a lot of research. My brand is more about being philanthropic in that my strength is individualization and understanding, okay, I understand that you specialize in marketing people, making things, like making people passionate about things. Where Aaron Guyette, he's really good at the leadership type brand where people kind of look up at him, and he can provide his marketing brand in a way that's more traditional and like being a leader, right? Where Cody Story, who we just interviewed, he has a heart brand. Like, he rips people's hearts open. He makes them cry. He makes them love themselves more, So it's really helping people get into that. And then we make the fucking marketing funnel, which is like, okay, now you want to teach squat. Okay, how do we teach it in this humor brand with the superpower of determination? So it's like, oh, wow. And then you can take that to a web developer and we can develop their website through that, or they can just go to their next training client and just have this newfound sense of glory and like, oh, I actually kind of know who I am right now when I turn on my, like, when I put on my trainer pants. Like, this is what I need to turn on, instead of just like walking into every lesson being like, what do I feel like being today? So you can be consistent for your clients.
Like, when you're looking at it, if your Facebook ad or your Instagram shows like you being super hardcore, like bands and chains and deadlifts and loud noises, but like when they come in and meet you and you're like this super sensitive, soft, heart-driven person, like it's not going to line up. Like, they were expecting this and now you're giving them this, right? So being able to identify who you are and what your branding should look like is really powerful. So that way it creates a congruency across the board from how someone found you and what they're expecting to come into, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to being the opposite, right? And it gives you, business is hard enough as it is, sales is hard enough as it is. So give yourself every opportunity to be successful by truly identifying who you are and how that can be utilized to your benefit. Because you don't need to be the most extroverted person in the room to be a successful trainer. You don't need to be an expert in marketing to be a successful trainer, right? But having a better understanding about who you are and what you bring to the table and your strengths will allow you to be able to go confidently into that journey and own the process that you own, and then find others that can empower or personify the routes that you don't necessarily succeed in, right? But the downfall of being a trainer is that you're your own customer service rep, you're your own sales guy, you're your own marketer, you're your own a producer, and so you have to do literally every single piece of it. So the idea is to get out of just being a day-to-day trainer, like training 5, 10, 20 sessions a day, and getting into having some things work for you on the back end, right? So if you're a gym owner and you have just yourself, that you have leads coming into you on a regular basis without you pounding the phone or walking the streets, because you can't afford to be out walking, passing out flyers, because you got to train clients, because that's what's paying your rent. So how do you get something else up and going that will allow you to have leads come in the door, giving you the opportunity to close a sale and get a membership or a client, while at the same time you were getting paid to train the client that you had at hand, if that makes sense. So
it's all about effortlessness, right?
Yeah.
Like, easy is good. I mean, you definitely always want to challenge yourself, but when it really comes down to life, like having everything lined up and like line I'm trying to look for another word, but like aligned with your values and aligned with who you are as a person, that's when like you're like, oh, this is a career that I'm proud that I've made. And with the Fitness Break Room podcast and some of the platforms that we're going to be sharing with you guys in the next couple of months, that is in beta right now, and I'm so glad I'm excited about this. It's something that the industry has been needing for a long time, and I don't think it could have happened before now, so I think this is a good time. But we want to help you guys make a huge impact in your community. We want to help you amplify your voices, because one of the great things about trainers is that they're content machines, and the vast majority of them have huge hearts and a lot of really amazing things that they really should be sharing with the world. And one of the other things about just, it's in the name, right? Like the Fitness Break Room, you guys are all working on your own, and you don't have a place to like have water cooler times with other trainers necessarily. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't resonate with them. Maybe they're not like hustling or have big dreams like you do. So we're here to create this virtual break room that you can always come and bullshit with us. We're going to create forums for us all to like chat and talk about common challenges and wins. What else do we have in the break room?
Sorry, I really just wanted to start singing "Come and Knock on My Door." No. Anyway, yeah. But
is that what was happening in your head right there? I just saw space. I was like,
yeah. I don't I'm a man, so I don't multitask very well. It's just it's in my genes. Sorry guys, I'm just throwing you under the bus. But like if I've got something going in my head, it's pretty much going. It's that. No, but we really want to be able to create a safe environment for everybody to come to and learn and grow. There's a lot of really great resources out there for you to be able to grow learn more about training, and I dig those too. Like I really love following a lot of great trainers, and it helps me learn in that facet and going to continuing education. There's a lot of really great business professionals out there, Jim Wright, Mark Fisher. They do excellent work, and we would encourage you to go through that. And I drop those names not because I want you to see who I know, but because the mantra of the Fitness Break Room podcast is that fitness is about community. It's not about dogma. It's not about saying, I don't do CrossFit, so go fuck all the CrossFitters. It's not about saying I'm a power lifter, so go fuck anybody who goes running. It's how do we bring this all together? Because at the heart of fitness, we all got into this industry because we wanted to help other people. Whatever scale that might be, whether it's in a marketing facet, whether it's helping you get a better back squat, or getting you off the couch to go running, or to do some mobility work, or some yoga. This isn't pigeonholed to be one or the other. We do have very eclectic backgrounds at which we were able to find fitness into and make it a career for ourselves, which I think brings it even more that it wasn't like, okay, we went to school for exercise science and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm doing this for whatever show.
He's jealous. He wants that degree.
I know.
You always talk about it.
I just like, because I early on I placed a lot of value to it, and like I felt like that was like how you were real legitimate. And it is a very legitimate degree, but like we didn't come through that traditional like exercise master's degree and now we're strength and conditioning coaches or whatever it is. And to be honest, the majority of the industry is not that, right? And you have the collegiate professional setting and you got the industry side, and I've never been in the S&C realm with the collegiate team, and doesn't mean I don't have contacts or can't provide value there, but it's how can we all be in this together? Because I'm not in LA. So I'd rather have a network of people. When someone reaches out to me, it's like, dude, I've got 20 places you can go to in LA. Go find the one that works for you. These guys do really great work. Or Jessica needs a heart person, so I can put her in touch with Cody. Or maybe she needs a high intensity person, and I can send her to Chris Camacho, or whatever it is, right? It's being able to line that up. And so how can we bring the concept, because a lot of you don't necessarily have jobs that just focus on your ability to go network, of, we know a guy, right? And the concept that we want to be someone that can put you in touch with the resources necessary to be successful, right? So if it's not something that we provide or offer, it's something that we want to put you in touch with the person who does, whether that's how to get apparel made or how to make some videos or how to make business systems or a platform for your business or accounting or whatever it is, and be able to point you in the right direction, knowing that not only have we done it as individuals, but we know the people who are the experts in it, and we want to share that with you because it's not about hiding that from you. It's not about trying to kick you away because we want you to fail so that way we can succeed, but rather how can we make this more of an inclusive market? Because it's not. It's really a dog eat dog world out there. Even if Jessica and I are both in LA, it's like I don't want Jessica to get my clients, and I don't want to get her, and I want to take her clients from her. It's not like that. Like we need to each create cultures that line up with our archetype, that line up with us, right? So someone who might really align with the high intensity hardcore person may not line up with the heart person, and so how can we facilitate those growth patterns? And so fitness being about community and bringing you to this break room, we really want to share these stories of all these people that you guys do follow. So always feel free to like drop us a line and like, hey, I'd really love to have this guest on. Chances are they're in the queue. But you know, if there's someone that you want to hear from, like please let us know because we want to bring them on the show so that way you can hear from them. So Fitness Break Room, we do want to create that open dialogue for you guys. And you know that this isn't our full-time job as of right now. Hopefully, you know, episode whatever, we're saying like, oh, this might be our full-time gig at some point in time. But for right now, it's not. So be patient with us as we're trying to grow, and it's really just the two of us on this team. And just like you guys, we do everything for it. She does everything. I just kind of sit here. Let's be honest. So, you know, for us, we have a couple different avenues that we're trying to deliver. So if you go through and check out the podcast, you know, this is episode 1. It's going to launch on December 4th, and we're going to launch it with 6 other podcasts. And we're going to do 7 podcasts in 7 days, right, for you guys to really get a feel of some of the guests that we have and find out who we have going on. And you know, unfortunately, we're, you know, 22 episodes in. I wish I could unveil them all to you today so you could listen to them because they're all so amazing. But, and not because we're in it, but because the people that are in it have such incredible stories. And so we want to deliver that high content for you. We've got a free ebook for you to download. If you go to the fitnessbreakroom.com, you can find the steps to download the free ebook. And that's the one I wrote early in that was like just how to identify yourself and understand how you can make a go of this if this is something that you're just getting into, or even if you're trying to refine your current model because you are in the industry already. I think it would have a lot of value to you as well. And then through this extensive network that we have, we've created this program that the one that Jessica mentioned was in beta called FitShare. We wanted to create an opportunity for you to be able to find a collective of all these amazing people out there. So instead of having to go to like 35,000 different websites of fitness professionals, we want to bring our network to you and say, hey, this is how you find these people, and this is how you can come to it. Like it's like the community bulletin board in the bathroom, right? And it's just got all the business cards lined up. And, you know, we want to create that opportunity for you to like, oh man, I need a t-shirt designer. Bam. So instead of searching Facebook and scrubbing through that, to be able to have someone on hand that you can go to.
People who've worked with gyms, worked with trainers, know exactly what fits for, you know, people who want to work out. I've bought some really weird shirts before, not knowing anything about apparel, just as an example, you know, and they're like, oh, these aren't tank tops you're actually supposed to work out in, you know? Simple things like that. Finding a videographer that knows how to record fitness videos that have that like that feel to them. And one of the things that we're really excited about with the FitShare platform is that all of the service providers on it are vetted out, so they're super high quality people and super high quality products. And also the profiles that you'll be going through for these programs will all be very similar. So you won't be disillusioned by really, really great marketing. If some of these companies or solopreneurs can afford to have really great marketing, nor will you be distracted by really terrible marketing, which can be super common as well. When like, obviously if somebody is providing I don't know, what would be an example? Like a training certification that's like a really great training certification, but doesn't have the time or like something to put together an awesome website. So we're putting just everything that you need to know on these profiles, video, cost, reviews. If we have any reviews at that time, that would be great. But we just want to make it really easy for you guys to be able to browse through all of your options, so you can save time. And also, they're all affiliate links. So by purchasing through our platform, you're supporting the Fitness Break Room podcast, and it's not to any more charge for you guys. like if you were to go to their website, it would be the same cost. That's how affiliate marketing works. So it'd be really awesome if you could purchase anything through our website because that would support us.
Well, and our goal is every quarter to be able to go to a new city together, because we don't live in the same city, obviously, and then podcast with the people that you guys want to hear from. So whether that's in Miami or San Francisco or Portland, Seattle, New York, Chicago, like we're going to make an effort to go to these cities and find the people that you guys want to hear from and tell their stories, so you can really get to know them and find a way to be able to like, understand who they are beyond just like an Instagram celebrity or a prolific strength coach, and be able to share that with you. And so that's
the point of you architecting your own life.
Yeah.
Like, I realized that boxing instructor who I like adore on Instagram, she actually works 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
Wakes up at 4 a.m., doesn't go to sleep till 9. Like, okay, actually, I don't think I want to do that.
Ashley Garazi, shout out to you, girl. That girl kills it out in New York.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing.
She's so fun.
She's amazing.
So
she works hard.
You
I
know,
don't think I would have that in me.
For us, we got tired of seeing all the Facebook ads of like, I was sleeping on my sister's couch and I used this magical sales script and now I'm making $18 million a day selling online personal training. And I'm not saying that that's not possible. I'm using super fake numbers. I don't want to call anybody out, but we want to create an opportunity of just realism that's not super fluffy, that's not trying to sell you on anything. We just want to continuously provide as much value as we possibly can, and we feel the best way for us to do that is to share our Rolodex with you and to share our network. And that's the gift that we can truly give away. We're going to have some content on there. We have the podcast twice a week. So on Tuesdays, Fitness Break Room will be launching, and that'll either be with her or I or just myself and a guest. And that's just the VIP interview style. And then Thursdays, we're going to have what's called the Break Room Breakdown. And that's going to be Jessica or maybe one of our partners giving you some awesome actionable information that you can take away and install into your business right now. So storytelling, learn about the people that you want to hear from, and then take some of those concepts and make it actionable information that you can take and add into your day-to-day. So whether it's a 20-minute marketing video on how to create a marketing sizzle reel for your gym, to understanding how to write some copy.
Or we might have Doc Williams on there who might do the fitness tech tools where he goes on over like the latest podcasting technology or the best cameras to set up for your gym. I'm really excited about those.
Yeah. And then, that can evolve it too into like other opportunities for our guests and the people that in our FitShare network or in our community to be able to talk to you guys directly. Like, we want to keep it open and be able to value the people that we choose to bring into our family to be able for you to be a part of their family as well, and for you to be able to access and gain that value. So FitShare is our primary platform, and that we can share with you and provide as much value as we can kind of going forward. The other end that we have is some website design. And so Jessica, being an amazing marketer and developer, we've created 3 different templates for some websites. And so a single long page, we were tired of seeing someone go out and spend $5,000 on a website. And you're like, yeah, of course, that's a really beautiful website. And it might be awesome, but you're brand new. Like, you don't even know how to do website marketing. Yes, there's specific marketing for websites. You just want to put your name out there so that way it looks like you have a legit thing going on, which you do. But you need to understand how to use website marketing first before you get the $5,000 site. Maybe you just need a fun picture, some about me and some cool pics, and then a contact capture so people can at least get in touch with you if they Google your name. And then we have the blog function where it's like, if you do want to add vlog or blog or some sort of content marketing strategy to deliver to either your gym or your audience, your community, your followers, and learn how to do blog marketing, because that's an entirely different realm. And we need these things to grow with you. And then we have our e-com function, like being able to like have a shopping cart where you can put stuff in and buy different programs. And if you sell t-shirts on websites and online programs, like if you don't have those things already built, like you don't need that $5,000 e-commerce website. So we also want to educate you and teach you how to use these strategies so that way you're not getting had by someone else out there. Not saying that everybody's trying to get you, but so that way you can learn how to use these things for yourself, and that your web presence and digital presence should grow with you as your brand grows. So that's the website marketing side. And then the final offering that we have is we do B2b consulting, like coming into your gym and speaking to your coaches, whether it be from marketing or sales or a networking opportunity for us to be able to help, whether you have a team of 30 trainers and you're at a large organization, or you've got 10 trainers, or you're just a one-on-one. And so we'll have an opportunity to do some coaching. As we mentioned before, because this isn't our day job, we can't do 40 hours a week of individual coaching. So we want to provide as much free content for you guys to be able to learn as you can, and then we'll have an application for us to be able to take on a few clients a month to help either take your market from concept to market, or maybe help just do some refinement. And if it's not something that we have the bandwidth or the time to be able to take on, if we don't have room for a new client, we have resources and we have people that we would entrust with ourselves that you can go and work with as well. So we want to create as many opportunities for you guys to win and grow as possible, and know that we are open books and we're pretty accessible to learn from you. So please feel free to shoot us a comment. Will be our email below that you can questions, comments, guests that you want to add, things that you want us to talk about potentially either on break rooms or guests that you want to hear. And just be able to see suggestions that you have. And so we would really appreciate any feedback that you have for us going forward. So I think that's...
Yeah, for the next several months, it's just going to be the podcast. So just enjoy that. I feel like I don't need to ask you to subscribe because you already know how podcasts work. But if you didn't know, if you subscribed, you'll get notifications of a new podcast that we have coming in twice a week. So subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. You can find us at fitnessbreakroom.com. You can find Sam on Instagram at spogue86. You can find me on Instagram at Jessica's Things, and you can find our team on Instagram at Fitness Break Room Podcast.
Nope, just Fitness Break Room.
Fitness Break Room.
Jeez, the marketer.
Woo!
So we appreciate all the love and support. Thank you very much for following along. This is also on YouTube for those of you watching, and for those of you who are kind of concerned by like my emphatic gestures that you are just listening and you can't hear it. But yeah, so we'll try to deliver it in as many platforms as possible. And we thank you very much, and make sure that you jump on Fitness Break Room and subscribe to get the prize pack.
Oh, yeah. So every month we have a fitness industry night, and we're giving away hundreds of dollars worth of prizes every month. So if you join the contest, you are subscribing for the podcast and you're entering to win. And anytime you share that on Facebook or Instagram, or actually I don't think Instagram, Facebook or Twitter or email, you get extra entries into the contest. So it's a pretty fun way to win some free shit.
Yeah, and so
And
we'll
subscribe.
get our partners to help us with as well. And so this, by the time you guys listen to this, it's going to be an on-it prize pack with some headphones.
Yep.
So some Alpha Brain, some New Mood, some Shroom Tech Sport, some Total Strength, and these awesome headphones that Jess has, and not her personal ones, obviously. Like they won't have like any
Some golden earbuds.
golden earbuds. There you go.
The prize golden earbuds.
So thank you guys very much for joining the Fitness Break Room, and looking forward to seeing you again.
See you on Tuesday.
Bye.
Thanks again for listening to the Fitness Break Room podcast, everybody. You can follow us on Instagram at Fitness Break Room. And if you're looking to enter our monthly fitness swag giveaway, you can visit our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, and all that info's on the homepage. Hundreds of dollars worth of awesome stuff, so I wouldn't miss that. And then you can even subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and leave us a review if you're digging what we're bringing you. That would be awesome and very helpful. Okay, guys, have a beautiful week. Stay strong, and always look out for the little guy.
I know to you, it might sound strange.